We're back. What in the world have we done here?
You have the infinity effect.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. Let's see.
Hello, Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Fish.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
Nice. Thank you, Lee. Oh, good morning, everybody. Hi, Cassie.
Good morning, Father Fish.
Good morning, Mary's
And everybody.
this morning. Hi, everybody. What a crowd we got here. Let's see. Mary Page asks, do we still need to post to get gills? No, we do not. J-Dog has posted the link to our website. It is fatherfishaquariums.com. Fatherfishaquariums.com. And we've got everything listed there that's on Get Gills and more. So you can order directly on our new website, fatherfishaquariums.com. While we're doing housekeeping, thank you to all the new members. Alex joined this morning. Appreciate that. We've got I think 14 members, 15 members. So we're perking right along. Plus another 8 in Patreon. So that's 22 altogether. And all of you are on Discord. So you are being a member of Patreon or the channel here, Father Fish, makes you automatically a member of Patreon. That is a membership only chat site. We will be posting special interviews on that site that everybody who is a member will be able to enjoy. So that'll be a special benefit for members only, and it'll be interviews, some taken from our streams, but if they are standalone videos, not taken from streams, they will be exclusively available to our membership. So there will be a real benefit to members that will not be available as a freebie. Everything else is free. Well, nothing is free. None of it's free. You pay for all of it. You're paying for your wireless service. So it ain't free. None of it's free. The mugs aren't free, except when I give them away free. And I do give them away free to people who make special contributions to our channel and our stream. And there have been several, more than a few. Not many, but there have been many freebies that I've given out to people who've just been so helpful and so supportive that I honor and respect their commitment and their energy and their time and their patience and their everything else that they have sacrificed to be able to be here with us every day of the week, every day of their lives, every day of my life. From 8 to 10 in the morning here on the East Coast on the West Coast of the East Coast of Florida. Cassie is on the East Coast of the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast of the East Coast. You got all that. I'm on the Gulf. She's on the Atlantic. Anyway,
Yep, east side.
The east side, right? On the east side. Oh dear. So what else is going on? Let's see. Mary Page is off to church, or will be. Fish party, says Tisha. Yes, indeed. Fish party it is. Swampy Acres, hello. Hello. The Mothman. Oh, I saw some of that Mothman stuff in West Virginia.
Yeah, I've watched that in the past as well.
Yeah,
a couple times.
How many of you believe there are great apes loose in the forests of North America and Canada? I had a friend many years ago who swears she was fishing in a remote creek in Catoctin Park in Thurmont, Maryland. That's where the president's retreat is. And she said she saw a Sasquatch, Sasquatch, about 50 yards down, stepping in the creek and then stepping back out.
That's would be pretty neat. I think our woods are, we just have so many woods out there that it probably would be hard to spot things. And I'm sure they're good at hiding.
Deep and dark. Yeah, you made that was an interesting exchange in the chat this morning about I got Snack said that the wind steals gold from the trees, and Cassie said that's a rather dark view of the wind. And
it was.
But the wind can be dark. I mean, there are. You've got a video on your channel of the dark wind blowing through a few years ago in a hurricane. So
I do.
Yeah. I was looking. You said that you had a video with your pond. Is that what
Yes.
Is that what you were referring to?
No, it's the clip I was talking about. If you go back to my money wart video, store bought versus like what I collected from my pond.
I thought it might have been there. Okay.
Yeah, I went out to my pond and showed where I found it.
Oh, nice. All right. I will look for that. Because what I saw was more lake-like than pond. You live on a lake.
Lake-like?
Well,
What did you say?
Lake-like.
Lake.
And pond-like.
It's not a lake though, but
It's
it's a decent size. You can put like a little John boat in there.
Yeah, really. Pro Z.
Well,
Hello, Pro Z.
Paul C had a question for you, Father Fish.
Yes.
He went to the beach today and brought back some driftwood. And he's wondering if he should add it to his tanks. And he has a follow-up question.
Okay. Yeah, I saw this earlier and thought it was pretty interesting. If you went to the beach in Florida and picked up driftwood, you would be violating state law. Oddly enough, there are regulations imposing fines for people taking driftwood off the beaches of Florida. Now, I dare say you're not going to get in trouble for picking up a little piece of wood, but there are places where there are great huge piles of driftwood, such as what's the inlet down below in Englewood, below Englewood, Stump Pass. Stump Pass is a good example. Stump Pass is named Stump Pass because it contains so much driftwood, many of which are big whole trees. So to answer the question or respond to the observation or whatever, it's pretty easy to tell when you pick up a piece of driftwood whether it is aged or not. I've had driftwood come in here that people tried to sell me that they claim was aged, and it clearly was not. It clearly was something that they cut off of a tree or cut from a tree that had recently fallen. One of the obvious ways to tell is if it still has bark on it. If it has bark on it, then it's not cured. the first thing that happens in the process of a, a limb or a branch or a root or whatever being cured is that the bark comes off of it. It then typically is attacked by insects, by water, by something that changes the character of the piece of wood. It may have holes bored in it from little boring worms. It may be kind of cracked and split, um, and otherwise worn to the point that little nubs stick up, nubs where there were branches or sticking up on it. It will visibly appear to be old, I guess is the best way to put that. And if it is trustworthy. You can put it in your tank. Now, there are lots of people who will not put anything like that directly in their tank. They'll put it in a pot or in a tub or even lay it on the ground outside for the sun to bake it out. And those are all good things to do. I don't do that because I'm always looking to bring uh, new life forms into my tank. I, uh, I I caught this dread disease some years ago when I was working with a center in Iowa that raises coral. It's called GARF, GARF. They're on the web. You can find them. I think it's garf.org. They are on a geothermal, sitting over a geothermal, so they're able to maintain a stable water temperature that's appropriate for corals. But they make and they also do deep sand beds. They're one of the first to really strongly advocate very deep substrates in saltwater tanks. And they collect bacteria, they collect substrate, mud, if you will, literally from all over the world. They claim that the mangrove swamps in Australia have the highest incidence, the greatest variety of, of bacteria of any other place in the world. And they sell this mud, they call it miracle mud, to be used as a foundation for your saltwater tank. Excuse me. Be used as a foundation for your saltwater tank. And they prize their mud because of the enormous variety of bacteria it contains. The nature of wild places is such that there are continuously new interlopers coming into that environment. No environment is it may be stable, but it is not fixed. It is not an absolutely closed structure. Every environment, everywhere in the world, has elements in it that are dying, some of which are dying because they're starved out, others because they're killed by new elements, new living elements coming in. There are continuously in every single environment, everywhere in the world, new elements coming into every single environment. It's a great wash, if you will, of life that is washing over itself, bringing in new life forms all the time, and in the process creating new life forms. There we have only, or science has only scratched the surface of understanding the breadth and the depth of life forms on our planet. Some estimates are that we have only researched and studied 10% of the life forms that exist on our planet. In truth, it probably is more like 1% or even less. We know so little about the world we live in that it is a constant source of inspiration to me and interest and curiosity and excitement. I mean, when you think about how much someone who studies these fields spends their lifetime doing so, how much they know, and how little I know by comparison, everything is a wonder. It's all new and it's all exciting and it's all something to be amazed at. So I take great joy in that. I take great joy in bringing new life into my fish tank and not trying to restrict it or confine it, not trying to seal it off and prevent it from being open to its wider environment. Enough of that. I need some water, I think. I got a water.
All right.
What else you got, cats?
Well, following up to that, Paul C. also wanted to know, how do you choose driftwood for your aquarium? And while you were talking, we had a couple comments about
well, let's
on the
read
topic
the comments.
of driftwood. All right. T-Bone replied and said, all driftwood is good. Some people clean or sterilize the wood from what he's seen by soaking it or boiling it. And GRB Aquatics said he has an awesome piece of driftwood that he's been soaking for 10 years and it still will not sink.
And it probably never will. There are woods that are so dense that water cannot permeate them. It's perfectly safe to put in your tank. There are a couple of things you can do. You can drill a hole in it and put lead in or some other heavy substance. Pour concrete in it, something that'll weight it down. You can drill a hole in a little rock like a flat piece of slate and adhere it with a screw to the wood. Make sure you use stainless if you do that, or some form of plastic, or you can silicone the piece of wood to a rock or to a piece of something that'll weigh it down. You can obviously put something on top of it, and of course you can always let it float in your tank. That's perfectly natural as well. If it's something you really would like to see in the water, down in the water, then you'll need to do something to sink it. But if you've been floating it for 10 years, I think you can give up trying to get it to sink. But it's not because it will be a problem in the water. It's because the wood is so dense, it does not allow water to penetrate it to replace the air that's sealed up inside it. So again, as I say, you could drill it to try to overcome that, and then after you drill it, either fill the holes with something heavy or use that as a way to get the air to escape. That probably won't work because you'll only get the air out of that little tiny spot, not the rest of it. But I would not feel any hesitation at all to put that piece of wood in your tank. Which goes to the other question Paul was asking about it was really a question of aesthetics, and that's a very personal thing. You set your tank up in ways that you appreciate. You are the artist. You're the one. You're the one creating the environment that that displays everything that you want to have in it. You are the wind and the rain. You are what brings things into the tank. So bring in what you like, so long as it's not going to break down, dissolve, or otherwise poison things, or bring something so foul and malordy. What's the word? Malodorous. Is that the word? Malodorous, right. Means stink. Something that malodorous. Something that stinks so bad it's going to foul everything. You certainly don't want to do that. But if you've got a nice piece of driftwood that is obviously old and well aged, and you like it, then find a way to put it in your tank and put it where you like it best. There are no rules. There are no rules for that. You can apply feng shui if you like, and do the principle of three. You can do the golden mean and put it in the right bottom quadrant, the upward inside corner of the right bottom quadrant, the golden mean. Or you can put it where you like it best, because that's really where it belongs. All right, what else we got, Cassie?
Well, that's a new word for me today. I looked it up too.
Malodorous. Did I spell it right?
Yeah, Malodorous.
Right.
Something. Another nicer way to say it is something stinky.
Right.
Well, I know mal means bad, and
Bad.
you've got odor in there.
Odor, right. So bad odor. What does that tell you?
Essence of bad.
Malodor. The essential. Well, that would be quintessential. Quintessentially malodorous. Quintessentially malodorous.
I spelled something that was malodorous. I wouldn't be able to say this right. Malodorous. Yesterday, I had to leave the restaurant because there's something behind me that was pretty stinky. I was like, let's go, guys. Let's go.
Kind of place you never go back to. I know.
I don't know if it was what they had ordered. It was a real stinky, like cheese.
Oh, that might be. A nice
We ate Italian last night.
Well, there are a lot of good choices there.
The kids were happy.
Nice.
And for dessert, my son ordered carrot cake, my youngest.
And he
ordered chocolate cake.
Had he had carrot cake before?
No, he hasn't. So I was like, where's this going? So I'm going, okay, I'll let him try it. And it came out, and he goes, there's carrots in here. And I'm like, yeah, it's called carrot cake. But there was a walnut. I didn't expect the walnuts. But so I don't think he liked it very much. And then he goes, well, I thought you were going to help me. And I was like, nope, sorry, you're on your own on that one. Carrot cake has like always made me sick, so I don't touch the stuff.
Really? Well,
even if it tastes good.
A lot of very sweet icing. A lot of sugar.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the icing because there's cream cheese in there. It doesn't sit well with me.
I don't eat it. It makes my blood sugar shoot through my nose. It's insanely sweet. Oh, Woody? What have we got going on here?
Well, Fishymon wanted to know,
Yes.
can I take driftwood from a big box pet shop and put it in my tank without boiling it first?
From a pick box pet shop. Well, I would tend to trust it. Boiling. What's all this boiling?
I guess to sanitize it or
Oh,
make sure it's going to sink.
yeah, boiling is not going to help impregnate it with water any more than it already has. Most driftwood, if you pick it up like on the beach or out of a box or whatever, is dried out, and it takes a little while for it to soak up moisture again to sink. So that's one advantage to boiling it. I suppose it's like anything else. It makes you feel safe. It gives you some sense of assurance that you have killed nasties, or that you have somehow created something that you can put in your tank that isn't going to be a problem. So I guess that's all good. I don't do any of that. I've never boiled a piece of driftwood in my entire life. I've left wood out in the sun for extended periods of time, and I've also put them in buckets and pails. I do that here all the time. If a bunch of really nice pieces come in, I'll throw them in like the koi pond or in a barrel, in a big bucket, and let them soak for a good period of time, and then they'll go in a pile in a tank where they'll get worked out. I'll start taking individual pieces out. Good morning, Betsy. Betsy's here.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Hi.
Hi, Betsy.
Hi. Good morning, everybody. We had another baby hatch.
Oh my.
Yeah, so that makes like 73.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my goodness.
They're so cute.
We're raising quail.
Nice.
Betsy's been taking eggs home and hatching them out in her incubator.
Yeah.
So we had lots. How many do you have at home?
Eggs, I probably have 25 in the incubator,
Wow.
and I have 4 babies at home.
Did we get any baby male quail? The button quail.
No,
We did not get young button quail.
no.
Somebody brought a few in, didn't they, or didn't they?
I'll have to check, but I didn't think so. I'll check today.
We're supposed to have had one or two.
Oh, okay.
That came in with that lovebird.
Oh, okay.
Did you bring the other lovebirds in?
I did not. The one doesn't fly, so I'm trying to think of how I can,
right.
with the tumor doesn't fly, how I can maybe make a.
Well, we would have to cage them all then,
Yeah.
if we want to do that. Why don't we do this? Let's move the dragons from the wire cage.
Okay.
Put them in here,
Okay.
with the others,
Sure.
and let's put the lovebirds in the
Okay.
wire cage.
Perfect.
All right,
Sure. That'd
because
be
they
good.
can get around in there.
Yeah.
They can nest. We've had birds nesting in there
Yeah.
that could not fly.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Good.
Okay. Good.
We'll get some
Yay.
babies maybe. So we'll
Yay.
need to catch the third
Catch
one.
that one. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And try to get them going.
You don't think that one would interfere with those other 2, do you?
Well, we need to see what it is.
Yeah.
Let's try it
We'll
and
try
see.
and see.
They're
Okay.
not going to kill each other, so
Okay.
they're not that bad.
Excellent.
So who are you? Who you got here?
I think this is Herbert.
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 There's
Okay.
Herbert.
Clean it up and get new food. He loves to be in with the others, with the ornates.
Oh, does he
Yeah,
really?
I put him in there while I clean
Oh,
this
in the
up.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Herbert is a spur thigh. we could put him in there. I'm afraid.
Oh, I would rather keep him here with you because he'll walk. if you
Yeah,
keep him there.
I've had these stolen before. They're
Yeah,
they're kind of a prized animal,
they are so cute.
and they turn into 150-pound monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
The
So,
spur-thigh tortoise from Africa.
yep.
Thank you, Betsy.
You're very welcome.
Good.
Yes, I was wondering if she needed to, if she had any problems with her incubator, if there was like a trial and error period.
We can ask her. I don't know. Let me get her. She'll be back in a minute. We'll ask her.
Well, Tisha, I don't know if I said that right, wanted to ask, does boiling wood also help remove tannins?
Well, it'll remove surface tannins, but it will not remove deep tannins. It won't remove. Sap doesn't go inside the tree, but the tree is a living organism. It contains organic material, and that organic living material has to be broken down and dissipated, or it'll foul the tank. So, boiling boiling a limb off of a tree is not going to prepare it for putting in a fish tank because you won't be able to get through it. It needs to either thoroughly dry out or to become thoroughly what's the word I'm looking for, uh, um, drowned, thoroughly soaked with water, such that the water then rinses out all of the living or dead, for that matter, cellular matter inside the wood. A piece of driftwood is dry to the bone, or dead to the bone might be a better way to say it. Having the outside of it cleaned off and purged of anything is not sufficient. The inside of it is still going to contain organic matter that can foul your tank. I've had it happen. I've had pieces of wood, that root systems particularly, that were just absolutely spectacular, and I really wanted them in my tank, so I cleaned them as best I could, and I took the risk, and they fouled the tank. The wood, it takes a long time for a piece of driftwood to become dried out or purged enough to be able to be really manageable in an aquarium. It needs to be years old, not something you've cut down off a tree and boiled for an hour or two. That isn't going to work. That will not do what you want done. You can put a piece of wood like that out in the sun and leave it for a season. Leave it for 3 or 4 months, and you'll be a little better off. It'll be relatively safe. It won't really be purged, but it probably will be relatively safe. You want to be careful when you put it in. If you start seeing significant discoloration, that discoloration is not only tannins. That discoloration can also be sap. It can also be organics coming into the water that will foul the water and will kill your fish. So you need to be careful with driftwood. Don't just boil something and think you're ahead of the game, because you're not. It's not going to work. And the one time you might be successful should not give you any confidence that you can do that routinely. because it's like playing Russian roulette. Eventually, it'll catch up with you. It's like people with gravel in their tanks. I've never had a problem. I've never had a. I've been keeping fish for 20 years. I've always had gravel. I've never had a problem. And the next time I see them, all their fish have died because they've been playing Russian roulette. You know, they've been able to do a maintenance program, a protocol that has worked, that has been effective, and then something changes. The protocol gets broken, gets varied in some way. Maybe they forget to do something. Maybe they go away for a while. Maybe they get sick for a week or two and can't take care of their fish. And all of a sudden, whatever it is they've been doing routinely that has kept things going and kept things in place stops, and the system gets overwhelmed by what they have been protecting it from, and they wind up in trouble. The benefit of a deep substrate, a dirted deep substrate with a sand cap, is that it creates an environment that is as close to permanent as you are likely to ever be able to get in a fish tank. It's not the best way to keep fish. It's the safest way to keep fish. And it's the surest way to have a system that you don't need to struggle with and worry about and fret over and keep your hands in all the time. If that's what you like to do, then you don't need to do this. But if you want something that you can feel comfortable with, that's going to last, that's going to be safe, that's going to be healthy for your fish, that will go on literally for years and years without any significant intrusion on your part, then do a deep sand bed. You'll be amazed. A deep substrate, I should say, with a sand cap. You can do sand too. You can do pure sand. People ask me all the time, can I just put sand in? Yes, you can. It'll take 6 months for a year for that the bottom in that sand to build up enough mulm, enough organics to be functioning then as an organic engine, an anaerobic organic engine, such that it'll be able to break down waste and feed nutrients to your plants. So you don't have to do dirt. It does kickstart the system, and it's not a dangerous thing to do, so long as you've got it adequately capped. Cheers.
Very nice.
What else?
There was well, you mentioned it's not the best way to keep fish. What do you think is the best way to keep fish? You were saying that with regards to the deep, doing it with the deep substrate.
You hire a crew of aquarists full time, 24/7, who will sit on your tanks more or less permanently, and will have eyes on, and will care minute to minute for everything going on in the system. So, that would be the best, because that way, if 5 years down the road, the pH suddenly drops below 7.0 and you haven't bothered to check it, these guys will know, because they'll be testing it every 15 minutes. So if you don't want to have to become a slave to your tank, which is the one way to guarantee that your tank is going to be healthy, the fish are going to be happy, and everything's going to be just fine, by you literally being the god of the tank, who has eyes on 24/7, 365, if you're really not prepared to do that, then do a dirted tank with a sand cap. You'll love it. Now, Lee sent me a video once he had done this. He was very angry with me because he said I stole his hobby from him, because he always had his hands in the tank, was always mucking around with it, was always doing things to it. And now he didn't need to, and he was bereft. So I counseled Sir Lee and signified to him the vital step he had taken in reaching an avatar status, an avatar relationship with his aquarium, whereby he could now be in a symbiotic spiritual relationship with his fish and simply sit there and zone out and meditate on the glory of his aquarium. And he did that to the point where he didn't even feed his fish for 6 months. And they were fine.
Alrighty. Somebody had asked, I'm trying to look through my comments, but I know in my head they were asking about cedar driftwood and if that's good.
It's perfect. It's a hardwood. It's probably the best, at least in this area here in Florida. The very best driftwood is mangrove, but it's illegal in here in Florida and in many other places because it's illegal to cut it down. But mangrove driftwood is probably the very best driftwood for its ability to adjust to an aquarium, to be safe in an aquarium, to be absolutely gorgeous. The roots are stunningly contoured. They're beautiful. The next best would be the cypress. I really like cypress in the tank. Now, again, it cannot be raw cypress. It's got to be something that is cured, that's been sitting out and dried out, or has been dead in the water for some lengthy period of time. And you can find it. It will retain its hardness. It will not rot out, or at least not quickly. So you find pieces that are hollowed out, pieces with a lot of branching nubs, just really exquisite pieces of driftwood that are cypress driftwood that are really wonderful in fish tanks. Again, it's got to be cured. It's got to be thoroughly dried out, thoroughly. I need a word that describes waterlogged, thoroughly waterlogged.
Would saturated be a good word?
I think so. Yeah, it is what. I mean, that's what it is. It's saturated. Waterlogged is another word that describes the same condition. Yeah, something that the water has purged inside and out, thoroughly purged, and you can tell by feeling it. A piece of driftwood in the water will be very heavy because it's got water in it. A piece of driftwood on the land will be very light because it's dried out. It's kind of bone dry.
Mm-hmm. Coffee says fruitwood is good. Doesn't need to be dried or aged. And he also likes oak and beech.
Yeah, fruit wood is really actually any kind of fruit wood is a good hard wood, and the hardwoods once you debark them, they tend to be pretty good. That's really true with the cypress as well. Cypress can be put directly in the tank. It's used to living in water anyway, so it's not going to leach anything out. It's pretty dense, um, hard to sink. You need to work at it to get it sunk. Usually, you need to weigh it down with something. Fruit wood, I've not had very much. I have done apple wood, which I like. Cherry is good. Walnut is wonderful. Any of the nut or fruit trees are good, solid hardwoods. Of course, oak. Any of the oaks are excellent. They need to be thoroughly purged. Again, I just can't stress that enough because you really can kill everything in your fish tank by putting a raw piece of wood in your tank of any type. Yes, cats. What else?
I'm adding stuff to my notes. We've got a few questions. Holly, though, is saying in her outside pond, she has 3-foot tall stump of cedar. It's hollow in the middle, with a really pretty hole. The fish love it. And she has a plant and a light coming out of the top.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, cypress is wonderful that way, and it's not going to break down. Now I the Blackwater tank that I had, someone brought in a very dry stump, a very old dry stump of a softwood tree. It was not pine. I don't know what it was. It might have been maple, or I don't know. Um, but a girl I had working for me wanted to get it off the floor, and she set it inside this leaking tank we had. It had no water in it, just to get it out of the way. And then, for whatever reason, some water got in there, and after a while, we threw a few fish in, added a little more water. It deteriorated substantially, but it never killed the fish. It was healthy for the fish. It was old, a very old piece a very old piece of wood that had come out of a wooded area, a wooded lot that was thoroughly dried out. No sap in it, no life left in it. It had been sitting for years and years, and it worked brilliantly. It did provide a lot of tannins. It broke down. Uh, it created a very dark tea-like water, but it was also very healthy. We eventually broke it down because the tank leaked so bad. It was just a stream of water coming out of it, and I finally gave up on trying to keep it clean. We're showing Cass this little. Well, get closer up, Cass.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get off the screen.
What do you have in there?
That's my beta.
What else? Is that a?
Oh, the plant? That's an Anubias plant.
What's it growing on?
Nothing. It's just in there, free floating.
It floating? How long has that been set up?
It's on my channel. It's one of the first videos I did. It's been set up, I think, since June.
3-4 months. Now that has a dirted base, a sand cap. You've got a little fine gravel on top.
The gravel is actually attached to the Anubias roots. So it came in with the plant.
So the Anubia grabbed hold of the gravel to ground itself.
Yeah, it was in my goldfish aquarium. That's the gravel
Ah,
that I've capped with sand now.
now what do you do with that? How do you what? How do you feed? What do you? How
My
often do you
beta.
clean it? This one right here.
I feed her bloodworms, about like 5 or 6, and then every other day or so, and then I might alternate with just the bug bites.
And what about water changes?
At least once a week. But like right now it's getting a little algae, so I might do it like more often, like every 3 days, every 4 days.
How much?
But if I'm lazy, once a week.
How much water do you change in it?
Well, because there's not a whole lot of debris, so I just stick it down until I get all of the little nuggets out. So it'll come down to about halfway.
And where? What's your water source? What kind of water are
Well,
you using?
it's water from my well.
So it's a deep well.
Not deep, no, but there's a high level of carbonates in my water,
Oh,
so it
okay.
holds my pH steady. And my GH is around like 3, 3
Really
parts per
low. Wow. So it's a
million.
shallow
My
well.
KH is very high. My KH is like up at 13 or 15.
So it's a shallow water well. Or basically a rainwater or a shallow aquifer, probably 20 to 30 feet deep. The well.
Right.
That's the level of water that the fish farmers in Florida have. There is a in certain areas, such as in the Tampa area and south and east, there's a strata of clay that's a foot or two deep that is down about 20, between 20 and 30 feet down. They dig down to that because there's water sitting on top of it, and that water is slowly flowing. It actually eventually flows into the Everglades. It's really part of the Everglades aquifer, and that's the water that all of our Florida fish are raised in. It's exactly the water that Katz has in her bowl. Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah, Coffee was saying he thinks that I'm getting algae because of water changes.
It could be. Could be. You don't need to do the water changes nearly as often. Uh, I typically only do water changes if there's a good reason to. If the water gets slightly opaque, if I see things going on that I don't like, um, obviously, if a fish gets sick, that's kind of what I was talking about before when I talked about protocols. Um, it's easy to get involved in certain protocols and doing things a certain way routinely, which when that stops can create stress, and that stress can sometimes lead to sickness and death. So it's to have a good handle on whatever you're doing routinely, that it is something that's needful to do, that you're prepared to do it routinely without fail, or at least without significant fail. You can miss a week or two here or there, but maybe not a month or two here or there. What else you got here, Cassie?
I've got a question from Greg. Said, fatherfish, is there a point where a deep substrate will ever need to be replaced?
It's a really good question. Um, my sense is yes. Now I tried to forestall that. This is part of the issue with the Wallstead system. Um, the Wallstead system does not call for the addition of um, what I refer to as supplements, which are all either mineral or organic supplements that I mix in the soil for the sole purpose of promoting the longevity of the soil. So I kind of beat that up front by adding 10 or 11 or 12 different elements. In a lot of ways, it's whatever I have on hand and whatever I can find. I just found liquid iron, which I'm excited about using. And I also found a liquid something else. What in the world was it? A liquid organic. Don't remember. Um, I'll have to look and see. I haven't used it yet. I just bought 2 gallons of it. They were like $2 a piece. It's not something I'll use heavily, but I'll begin using it. I've not been using anything wet in the supplements when I do the supplement packs. So if I do that, it's going to change the character of those supplements to a wet material. And I'm not really sure I want to do that because it could become a shipping or, for that matter, a handling problem. But anyway, yeah, the answer to the question is that um, I've got a system that's been set up now for about 12 years. After about 6 years, the plant growth in it was so stupendous that I began harvesting plants out of it. And I did that extensively. Every time it grew back thick, I would harvest them out. I did that for a period of 3 to 4 years. Got a lot of plants out of it. And it reached the point where it was not replenishing the plant growth. I deprived the system of so much nutrition by taking all those plants out before they had a chance to drop leaves and have the leaves decay into the substrate and replenish that nutrition, that it became impoverished and stopped growing at the same rate. I've made some minor changes since then. I've added more fish to it and begun feeding it more heavily than I was, and it's starting to come back. So I think that kind of thing can happen. That's really my only experience of a deep substrate failing, when essentially I abused it by removing its changing its balance. I think by continuing to feed and continuing to have fish in it, it'll reestablish some of that. Now, I'm also anxious to try to do subsoil injection. I'm still looking for a good way to do it. Doing it with a baster doesn't work. I've tried that, and all it does is push it up through the through the substrate. I have some ice cubes. I haven't little tiny ones that contain trace all of those elements. I haven't tried putting them in there yet. It's going to be a problem because the minute I put the ice cube in the water, it'll begin to melt and release the supplements. So I need to figure out a way to encapsulate the supplement ice cube in a larger ice cube of pure water. So when I go down in there, I'm not releasing supplements. It just gets a little complicated, and I haven't taken the time to figure it out and work it out yet. But it's a realistic possibility to be able to recharge the substrate that way. You can certainly do fertilizer. Um, you want to make sure it's not something that is gonna that's gonna be in the water and not in the substrate. So you want to use uh, um, something that you can get down in the dirt. Some not a liquid, but a solid that you can push down in there that'll stay down in the dirt. I don't know if that answers the question or not, but I think in general they don't fail, uh, unless you unless you just do something to make it fail. Cassidy, what else we got? Shall we take a break or shall we keep going?
I think a break would be good.
All right, let me get a little music up here. I think I got something. There's Foxy and
My kids keep interrupting me, so I need to go pay attention to those guys.
all right, let's do this.
In the town
I love this.
of Baltimore lived a man of the sea, and he told us of his life in the land by Chesapeake. So we searched up on YouTube till we found his tank so clean, and we smiled, we found our way on Father Fish's fun life stream. We all love Father Fish's great life stream. He keeps his tank so clean, the plants they are so green. We all love his fluffy beard, it is so white. His eyes they are so bright, he always keeps it tight. And our friends are all aboard, many more of them, while they still snore. But they'll watch him on replay. Do 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 do. We all love Father Fish's great life stream. His tanks they are so clean, the plants they are so green. We all love his fluffy beard, it is so white. He always keeps it tight. His eyes are so bright. As we live the life fishy. Everyone!
I love it. I love it. Here, Fishy.
Father Fish, Father Fish. One place to go to if you have
Cassie
Vic.
wanted to know
Your
if you
fish
had a
may
break
itch
in
or even
time
flash.
with the
So
incubator.
Father Fish is your one-stop cap.
I let it run for
Capital
24 hours
with an
before
inch
I
of
put it.
sand. Capital
what's
with
stuck in
an
that
inch of
She
sand.
apparently had
Raise
trouble
the
at first.
temperature with a helping hand.
Okay.
And add some
Well, you got the
garlic
Janelle
on top of that sand.
Janelle,
The ink
Janelle,
will
whatever,
go,
it's a good one.
your plants will grow, and
you
all
have
of
to be
your
careful
fish
with
will have a
humidity,
happy
too.
home.
It needs to be
Father
60%.
Fish, so Father Fish, your
Sometimes
one-stop wonder
Yeah,
if
dish
you
of,
keep fish.
watering.
There's
Starring
water at the
Sir
bottom.
Father
You really
Fish
have
and
to
all
come
his
every other
followers
day. When I
on
see
the
they're starting
Father
to
Fish
hatch, I put
channel.
a piece of paper towel in and I wipe
Over
it
to you,
Oh.
Sir Father
just because
Fish.
when they're hatching.
We'll do a little blurb on that. Yeah, that'll be neat.
Yeah, everybody's kind of different. Depends on where you live too, with your relative humidity. Yeah. Oh, that's too bad she had a tough time. But yeah, I let it run for 24 hours before I ever put anything in it.
Father
This is her song. That's
Fish.
Cassie B.
She's good.
Yeah.
He comes on in the morning every day. Add some soil, cap it with sand, then add plants. He will help you do it the right way. Add some fish, then walk away. Feed them high quality food. Thy food is best. Keep it dirted, keep it all natural. I found my way back to Father Fish. Bye, all.
Cassie B.
When I find myself in times of take trouble, Father Fish, he comforts me. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my time of darkness, he is streaming right in front of me. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Add some sand and let it be. Father's words of wisdom, let it be. When all the broken-hearted fishes living in the tank agree, there is an answer, let it be. For though it may be cloudy, there is still a chance that they can see. There is an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Add some sand and let it be. There is an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Add some sand and let it be. Father's words of wisdom, let it be.
Very
Good morning,
nice.
Father Fish and all my fellow schoolmates. I'm sorry I
That's
can't
Cassie.
be there.
Ah,
Sorry I haven't
Roxanne.
been there.
Here she is. I'm getting there. I'm working on it. There. Oh, Lord. I have little or no technical skill here.
That's okay. I was muted and thought you could hear me.
When things go wrong, I get rattled very quickly, and I'll start doing stuff, half of which doesn't need to be done, and the other half of which is out of sequence.
Gotta slow down and take a breath.
Nerdy dirted naturalism with abolished. This sounds like a team effort here. What are they talking about, Cass?
And the comment that he put?
Yeah. Why are we dosing salts if we're trying to establish a healthy regenerative system, though seems to be fighting your end goal?
Well, he's had a few comments, so that was like his third.
On that order?
Is
Osmocote
one was about
organic?
aloe.
If it is a synthetic salt base, it's going to slow or possibly kill the microlife. You spend all the time building in the substrate. Only reason I would caution it. And why not let stuff like aloe break down in the aquarium to replenish substrate, let alone all the other secondary benefits to plant health and fish health at Father Fish. So nerdy, dirty naturalism. Does this? Is there a is there a YouTube channel connected with this poster?
I think that's Abolished Farms, and
Oh, it's abolished.
Mary asked if that was Abolished Farms who changed their name,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't see the answer, so
Yeah,
I think that's their picture, though.
it's all right. The principle of the deep substrate is that it not come in direct contact with the water column. The purpose of 2 inches of sand, which gets increased to 2.5 or 3 inches or more, the function of that sand is to keep the dirt, the soil, the organic and chemical mixture down in the bottom of the tank and out of the water column. Now that's not an absolute, but it's about 95% effective. So the impact of all of those salts and organics on the water column is negligible. Its impact is to do, or its function is to do one thing and one thing only, and that's to be part of the cycle of the breakdown of waste and its convergence with plant roots as nutrition that grows the plants. So you see the benefit of the substrate in the growth of the plants. Now, obviously, that pertains to rooted plants. It does not pertain to plants such as Anubias, Java fern, floating plants, or any of the other plants, even buttes, that thrive by extracting nutrients from the water column. So the presence of those plants further reduces the salts and other nutrients that are in the water column that leach from the deep substrate. It's an art, not a science. And but it's an art that that a 3-year-old can be competent in. It's simple and it's straightforward, and it is 99% effective. Frankly, of the hundreds of people, brand new first time fish keepers who I have set up with dirted tanks, there have been 2 that have failed. In the one case, they failed because they mixed all the dirt and sand in together. They did not keep the dirt separate from the water column. They did not use the sand as a barrier. They just mixed it all up and came in very angry with me for selling them such a mess. They were both in their 80s and rather feeble, and I didn't try to disabuse them of any of it. They wanted to do gravel, so I sent them over to PetSmart, gave them their money back, made them whole, and sent them somewhere else. In the other case of failure, the customer insisted on gravel rather than sand and only made the gravel about 1 inch deep. So he was essentially in rebellion. And I hassled with him, and eventually he came around and added sand to his gravel, and things turned around and got better. Let's see, reverse flow under gravel. We'll get to that when there was somebody else who had a long comment. What was it? Oh, very good.
Well, I know Abolished wanted to know earlier what about a good live food source for all of the nano fish. They said he has access to basically unlimited springtails and wants to know if that would be a good food source.
Well, it sure would. Yeah, that's ideal. Any kind of live food is always preferable to any kind of prepared food. There is no prepared food superior to live foods. If you'll notice, fish in the wild will eat live. They will. The only dead they eat is other fish's poop, and not all of them do that. Many do, particularly the little ones, the foragers that are scooting around on the bottom. But they are as well eating algae and other very tiny life, such as worms and little shrimp and so forth. So yeah, feeding springtails. I wish I had a really strong source of culture at springtails. Microworms are also good. I like feeding microworms. I feed it to baby fish, and they seem to thrive on it. I do try to ensure that there's adequate nutrition in the material that I'm feeding to the microworms. It's not an easy culture to maintain long term. It tends to go bad and has to be replenished and restarted on a regular basis. The issue of salts. I think the issue of salts is to handle them in a way in that deep substrate such that they chemically break down and provide mineral and mineralization to the plant roots, to the organics, as though or as those organics are breaking down. I'm not proposing pouring salt into your water. What I am proposing is using items like Epsom salts that contain some very important minerals that will in time, and this can take a matter of a year or 2 years, will break down such that the magnesium is attached to organic molecules and becomes a source of nutrition for the plants. So, uh, again, I'm trying to create an environment that has a very rich um, mineral and biological content as a startup, and do it in a way that prevents that those early chemicals from burning things out. Um, yeah, let me say this about that. When you create a dirted tank and you add all of these supplements and you cap it with sand for about a month, that stuff down in there, that dirt is like a burning cauldron. If you poke your roots down into the dirt, it'll burn them up in days. It takes about a month for it to calm down and begin percolating more naturally. And then, in truth, it takes 6 months for a year for it to really be effectively assimilating all the new nutrition that's coming into it. So it's a long-term process and a long-term project that goes on if it's done competently without any significant um, problems or difficulties or chaos or otherwise mad wild things happening in that chemical experiment that's going on down there in the deep. I don't plant the plants into the dirt. I plant them halfway into the sand and let the roots find the nutrition. That's their job, to find a source of nutrition. And they'll do that without burning themselves up. Let them do it. You don't need to do it for them. Just get them stable enough that they're not going to float out, and they'll take over and do the rest. What else you got there, Cassie? Java fern. Java fern's turning black and brown.
Yeah, I don't know why it would
What
be
is
doing that.
dosing with EI?
I don't know what EI is.
Dose with EI plenty. Dose with EI. Plenty of other plants. Java fern's turning black then brown. They're either getting no nutrition or they're getting too much. If you're dosing, I would suggest they're getting too much. The rooted plants have the benefit of being able to avoid all that dosing. I never dose. Absolutely never. I never put nutrition in the water. My goal is to keep nutrition out of the water, to do everything possible to do the reverse of adding liquid organics to the water. I try to keep liquid organics out of the water so that that water remains as pristine as possible.
Well, and also Java ferns will likely die. Their roots will turn like black and brown if they're being planted down into the substrate.
That's exactly right. Uh, Java fern is not a rooted plant. Is there a background coming through? I'm hearing. That's odd. Um, Java fern is not a rooted plant. It's an orchid type plant. It uses its ostensible roots to attach onto a hard surface in order to keep it from being blown around. Java fern is that way, Anubias is that way, Bucephalandra is that way. They're not rooted plants. And if you put those roots down in the sand, the roots are likely to rot and kill the plant, just because of the deterioration that's going on in the plant. So you want to
Right.
attach them to a hard surface and not get uh, get the rhizomes or whatever they're called. What are they called? Those clinging things on orchids. Not get them down in the dirt. They don't do well in dirt.
Can you trim Anubias roots, like if they're getting really long and scraggly?
Yeah, because the old roots are not going to attach anyway. Um, what you want to do is you want to trim back all the big long ones, and then tie or otherwise attach the crown of the plant to your substrate, and let those roots attach themselves. They'll send out little grabby things like suction cups that'll grab hold of the substrate, and that's all new growth doing
Yeah.
that. So it's the new growth that attaches, not the old growth.
Yeah, I thought I heard a little echo
Yeah, once in a while.
when I talk.
I think it's Thomas in there playing with us.
Rohan asked earlier, what could eat Anubias leaves in a fishless tub that has trumpet and bladder snails?
What was the question? What would be?
What would eat Anubias leaves?
The bladder snails.
Yeah, I responded and said it's probably the bladder snails because
Yeah,
they eat my plants.
yeah, bladder snails are notorious plant eaters. Some people like them. I don't. Cassie likes them.
No, I don't. I've been throwing them out.
Oh, good. Somebody likes them.
I started seeing holes and I'm like, nope, you're gone. You're gone.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, they eat holes in your plants.
But I've left the other snails. Like I have little tiny cone snails that are like the size of the sand granule.
Yeah, they will get bigger. They're Madagascar. What are they called? Madagascar? That's not the right word. I can't remember. Cone snails. The cone snails are a subterranean snail. They work primarily in the top quarter inch to half inch of your substrate. They're like an earthworm. They perform the same function that an earthworm does in your garden. Um, People come into me occasionally or call me up and say, "I've got my tank is full of snails," and I ask them what kind of snail, and inevitably they will say cone snails. They'll describe this long, thin snail that looks like an ice cream cone. Did you hear that? That's
Yeah.
I don't know where that's coming from. Anyway, they'll
Yeah.
they'll describe cone snails, and I'll say, well, and what's happening? Oh, they're all climbing up in huge numbers all around the tank. And I say, well, what you need to do is you need to sit in front of your tank, fold your hands, and thank the snails for saving your tank from the destruction that you have heaped upon it by putting so much food in there that it requires thousands of snails to keep it clean. Because that's what's happening. You're putting so much food in that the snails are multiplying as a way of trying to do their job, which is to keep the substrate from turning foul. So You want to get rid of the snails? Stop feeding your fish. And whatever it is you're feeding them, stop feeding them that, because that's obviously not a good food for them. I'll sell you this little container of blackworms or live brine shrimp. Don't put it all in, just put a little bit in every day, and make sure this little container lasts you 2 weeks. And that rarely works, but eventually they get the message that the snails are there because they're overfeeding their fish. And if they take the snails out or kill the snails, they simply make matters worse. I've got an infestation of snails. Great. Here's this product that'll kill them. Stick it in there. It's going to kill them all. It'll kill them dead. You won't have any more snails. You'll be done with the snails. So he takes it home and he pours it in. And lo and behold, all the snails are dead. Wonderful. So he goes back and praises the clerk. That was magnificent. It killed all of my snails. I'm so happy now. Thank you so much. What else do I need to do to make my tank really healthy? Well, here's this brand new food we got. It's a little pricey, but boy, is it good stuff. Take this home and give them a good chunk of it every couple of hours. They'll love it. Well, with that level of success and overcoming the snail population, what else is he to do than precisely what he has been directed to do? 2 days later, he's back in the store. All my fish are dead, and my tank stinks, and I don't know what to do. Ah, did you feel all that food I told you? Yes, of course I did. I did exactly what you told me to do. Well, maybe you did, and maybe you didn't. But I'll help you clean up the mess. Here's this $249.95 filter. Take this home and plug it in and hook it up and get it running. It's going to clean that tank out, clean as a whistle. It'll be perfect. You'll love it. And so it goes. That's the treadmill. And once you're on that treadmill, particularly if you are a beginner, it's really tough to get off of it because you're being taken down a path that requires you to spend more and more and more money to try to do what Father Fish is teaching you to do for next to nothing. So, take your pick. Pick your poison. Choose the path you want to go down. I mean, if you want to go down the path of spending a couple of $100 a month for equipment, supplies, and whatnot for your fish tank, go for it. I don't recommend it. I don't do it here in my shop. I'm not making money selling junk. I could. Lots of people do. That's not what fish keeping means to me. Fish keeping to me means creating an environment that keeps fish healthy and happy long term without doing very much at all to keep it going. What else we out here, Cass? We got 15 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, people were just commenting on the name for Madagascar snail.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
asking if you meant Malaysian
I
trumpet
did.
snails.
Malaysian trumpets. Thank you. Yes.
And then Chevy Fish mentioned something about, yeah, didn't you mean Malaysian trumpet snails? Because cone snails are a very venomous saltwater snail. But I brought up the name cone snail because I thought it was just like a general name for anything that would like have that cone shape to it.
Well, yeah. Chevy, you don't get anything past Chevy Fish. Don't even try because it ain't gonna work. The cone snail is it's not a scientific name, but it's a name that that has scientific function. It's a common name for a class of animals that are saltwater animals that are in fact poisonous, some of which are deadly. Um, Given that the use of the term cone to describe the there it did it again.
Malaysian.
The, the Malaysian trumpet snails is a misnomer. It's a common misnomer, and we're being called on it, and I might say appropriately so. So remember, Malaysian trumpet snails, not cones, not ice cream cone snails.
Okay, well, because their shell is conical. So in freshwater, anything, well, there's the rabbit snail, right? And then the Malaysian
Yeah,
trumpet snail.
yeah, that's a it's hard to avoid it because the word cone is descriptive, as
Mhm.
it's descriptive of a type as well as a classification. So it kind of depends on the meaning of the word, I guess, how you're using it. But and we do try to be as technically sophisticated as possible, which in my case is on about a 20% level, I think. I'm not technically sophisticated.
Yeah,
Don't
Alan
cons-
Tooth was here. Did you want to send Alan the link for him to join?
Sure, let's do that. We can do that. We got a little bit of time left. That'll be great. Come on up, Alan. Let's look at your tanks.
Dr. Black says cone snails are nasty saltwater kids.
They are indeed.
I thought he was actually referring to children.
Well, that might be too. Given it's Dr. Black, one never knows. Dead Fred. Hello, Dead Fred. Good to see you. Big Tank Hank.
So what I have when I'm seeing these tiny little guys, are they just like babies, like baby
Yeah, they get a
Malaysian
little bigger.
trumpet snails?
They'll get about half an inch. Not much more than a half an inch.
Okay. I'm guessing they came in on the Anacris that I had collected, because that's where I got the bladder snails. And there's one that's like a traditional snail you might see. I don't remember the name of that.
If we get see with it.
Alan said he's coming on tomorrow, so
Okay, that'll be fine. Alan's got a lot of snails. We'll get him talking about snails tomorrow. That'll be great. So yeah, look forward to your coming up tomorrow and get us on early, Alan. We'll try to get Cass if you can remember that too. It went right out of my brain.
yeah, I forgot to mention, I think he came on around 9 today.
Yeah, Lee wants to get on Discord, and I don't understand it. I'm going to have to get Thomas to help with this. He's the one that's got Discord set up, and I can't figure it out, frankly. So I need training as well. I'm in a worse boat than you're in, Lee. I don't begin to know what to do with it. But Thomas assures me it is wonderful and simple and will solve all of our problems and allow us to all be in unison together as a happy shoal. So I'm trusting that, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I think there'll have to be somebody on there. Just if anybody has a question, someone should be there, like answering it.
Yeah, Thomas is going to be online, and Lee is willing to do that. We just need to get him on, and I don't know how to do that. I know you go into the waiting room. If you click on the link that's on the community page, it'll take you to the waiting room, and Thomas should be there to welcome you into the chat. Guess who's with us? Who we have not seen for a while, but is back because we goaded him into it. It's Dr. Black.
Oh, were you talking about me? How was I goaded into it?
Oh, something Cassie B said about you were obviously talking about children and not snails. And I allowed
Yeah.
it's Dr. Black. That might be.
That was just my interpretation when I read that comment.
Are nasty saltwater kids.
How are you?
Well, I say that we've gone off now. Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Good.
I'm still trying to work out where I have to point this camera.
There it is, right there. That's not bad.
Yeah. It's not good either, really.
Do you have native blood in you? Aussie native? You look
Maybe.
like you do. You look like it.
that's almost as impolite as asking a lady her age.
I know. Well, except it should be, and it's
You just don't
increasing.
do these things.
I think a badge of honor for increasing numbers of Aussies and those of the rest of us. It's a badge of honor.
Chevy Fish says Thomas might need to do a tutorial for understanding how to use Discord.
That's a good idea. We'll get him up and doing that. Well, I guess did I insult Dr. Black?
Or he's having video feed issues. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think it was that tender. You're not that tender, are you?
No, I'm not. There's like seriously wild weather around my house at the moment.
Really?
So I am losing electricity now and then, and
my
also
word.
internet signal and stuff.
Is it a bad storm or what's going on there?
Nah, it's Australia. We don't have bad storms.
Is that true?
It's a scale of 1 to 10. It's either a 1 or it's a 10.
Oh, all right. I get that.
Are you just getting a lot of wind?
Lots of wind and rain, but that's good. Well, my pond's getting a water change. Hooray!
That's right. Exactly. It's the way that works. What kind of fish do you have in your pond?
Nothing at the moment. It's just all plants. Unless there may be some bristlenose may have survived the winter out there. Time will tell. All my guppies seems to have died. I had hundreds of guppies out there.
Do you collect natives at all?
Occasionally. I haven't for a while, but there is a few locations around here where I do have access to some rather stunning natives.
What are they?
my bestest closest one, which is like the creek 20 meters away, Empire gudgeons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they're beautiful fish. Whoops, take my finger away from the camera. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Do it all the time.
Yeah, we get Empire gudgeons in the creek here, and blue eyes, Pacific blue eyes, crimson spotted rainbow fish, Tandanus catfish, Australian bass. Lots of nice locals here. I'm doing it again. Finger on the camera.
We see that showing off, are we?
Oh, it's an
Righty.
excellent finger.
I just get bass and carp and tilapia and brim. I think that's about all I have in the pond out back.
Well, our bass are a little bit different to American bass. They're more of a perch type species, but they fight just as good as the American bass do. But yeah, different species, I think, different family and species, and all those scientific ones.
Nice.
Anyway, I was just basically popping in to say, anyone who's not subscribed to my channel, I've nearly hit 7 million subscribers.
Oh, mercy.
I think there's only 19 to go before I hit 7 million. So if I can get 19 more before tomorrow morning, I'll wake up to 7 million subscribers and all those other lies.
Astounding. If any one of us could do that, we would actually raise the level of the entire fish fam. It would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Imagine, just imagine.
When did you hit 6 million? Do you remember?
That would have been yesterday.
We lost him for a moment.
Lost him again.
Bummer. Just right at the punchline too.
All right, when did you hit 6 million?
I didn't. It was lies.
Oh,
That's quite a lot.
Dr. Black. Oh.
I think last time I looked, I had like 23 subscribers or something. There's not many.
Well, I know I'm in there. I'm in among the best and the worst.
Yeah, Father Fish and 22 of the other finest specimens in the fish tube community.
That's right. That's right. We know, and we know that we know. Go to all the vital places.
Yeah,
Glory.
It's not about who you know, it's where you go.
That's right. And being here 8 to 10 in the morning, or what is it there? 8 to 10 at night? It's later. You're 10 to 12.
No, it's nearly 1 in the morning here now.
11 to 1. Wow. 11 to 1 at night. There, 8 to 10 in the morning here. Wherever you are in the world, wherever you are, anywhere in the world, we are here for you.
If you can be here with us.
Every day, in every way.
Yes.
I think I'm worn out.
I know.
Worn myself out, Dr. Black. Happy to see
You
you.
had quite a day, Father Fish.
We'll get
quite
back. Say
Quite a
what?
morning. It was quite a morning, Father Fish.
Well, it was.
We had like
indeed.
3 story times.
3 story times. Good to have you with us. We'll
Should
get
be
you
worn
back
out.
on here earlier in the stream when you're not lying in bed.
You've just got to time it better.
I'm surprised you don't fall asleep listening.
Really. Let's see if I can. I need to find them. What in the world? Need to find the music here.
Blake can't stay up this late.
All right, I'm going to disappear. Thanks, guys.
Good to have
Behave
you
yourselves.
with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to have you with us.
Nice to meet you, Cass. I'll see you, Father
Nice to meet
Fish.
you.
Bye bye, Dr. Black. Let's see if I can get something going here. I'm oh dear. I somehow lost my second screen. So I need to create it and move it. And
I'm on Discord, but not on Father Fish yet. I went on a while ago to get onto Pocket Frogs.
let's see. Oh, what are we doing here? Let's do.
Do you want? I can show the sets I make, Father Fish, for Pocket Frogs while you're looking.
I think I'm there. I got it. I'm there. Right there. Here we are. What do you got? Let's hold on a minute. We'll take a look at what Cassie is showing us. What you got there?
I made this glow light pumpkin set for Halloween, and I posted it on the Discord because that's where the developers go to choose the sets. And I also made those two.
Oh,
Glow sticks and Halloween gem sets. Hoping that my sets will get picked for the game.
All right, let's get back up here. Here we are.
Hello, Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out.
Oh!
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
Yeah.
And snails.
Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Fish.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish.
Bye all.
Let's talk about fish.
Bye bye everybody.
Fish.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Father Fish.
Yeah, one all day.
We'll get. Bye, Cassie.
Hello, Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. I think that one will do. I'll play it back and I'll see what I think. I think it's probably the nuts. And that'll be the one. And you can play around with all of it and decide what you want to do in your production stream for Survival Fish.